Your grandmother's house smelled like nothing. Not lavender plugins, not lemon spritz, and yet every surface gleamed, every window sparkled, and you could eat your dinner off that kitchen floor. She did not own a single branded cleaning product, just a few old cloths, a bucket, and the kind of knowledge cleaning companies have spent decades trying to bury. Number 18 on this list was so effective that a major manufacturer reportedly changed their formula to make you forget it existed. And number 7? Scientists found it outperformed 3 leading supermarket products. These 25 habits cost almost nothing and kept homes spotless for generations, long before the cleaning aisle was even invented. Subscribe, because what your grandmother knew could save you hundreds a year. Let us count them down. Number 25. Cold tea for wooden furniture. Before Mr. Sheen and Pledge arrived in British homes, your grandmother polished wooden furniture with cold, leftover tea. Not hot, not milky. Cold, black, stewed tea from the pot. She would wring a soft cloth almost dry, wipe down the sideboard, the dining table, the wireless cabinet, and the wood came up gleaming with a soft, warm sheen that no aerosol could match. The tannic acid in the tea cleaned grime without stripping the finish, and the natural oils left a thin protective layer that repelled dust for days. A pot of tea cost less than a penny in 1955. Your grandmother was polishing furniture with something she was going to throw away. She did not know the chemistry. She just knew it worked, because her mother had told her, and her mother before that. Modern furniture polish leaves a sticky residue that actually attracts more dust. Cold tea leaves nothing but clean wood. The irony is staggering. We threw away the free solution and paid £2.50 for the problem. Every Friday morning in terraced streets across Britain, you would see women outside with a bucket of warm water, a splash of malt vinegar, and crumpled sheets of yesterday's Daily Mirror. No squeegees, no Windoline, just newspaper and vinegar. The secret was in the ink. Printer's ink from old-style newspapers acted as a mild abrasive that cut through grime, while the vinegar dissolved grease and hard watermarks. You scrubbed in circles, then buffed dry with a fresh sheet. The glass came up streak-free, crystal clear, every single time. A bottle of Sarson's cost about 4p and lasted months. The newspaper was free because you had already read it. Neighbors judged each other by their windows. Dirty glass meant a dirty house, and no woman on the street would tolerate that. The whole ritual took 15 minutes for the front of the house. Some women added a drop of methylated spirit for extra shine on particularly grimy panes. When Windoline arrived in the 1960s with its promises of effortless sparkle, women slowly abandoned the newspaper method. But anyone who has tried both will tell you the same thing. Newspaper and vinegar wins. Number 23. The Monday wash day ritual. Monday was wash day. Not sometimes, not when the basket was full. Monday, every single week, without exception. Your grandmother stripped every bed in the house before breakfast, sorted whites from coloreds on the kitchen floor, and had the copper boiling by 7:30. This was not about cleaning products. This was about discipline. A fixed schedule meant nothing ever got truly dirty. Sheets were changed weekly, towels rotated, curtains came down once a month, like clockwork. The routine itself was the cleaning method. When you wash everything on the same day every week, dirt never has time to settle, stains never have time to set, and the house stays perpetually fresh. Modern households wash reactively, waiting until things look dirty or smell wrong. Your grandmother washed preventatively. The schedule was the product. It cost nothing but effort. Your grandmother never put soap near her cast iron skillet. Not once. After cooking, she would sprinkle a handful of coarse salt into the warm pan and scrub with a folded cloth or a piece of brown paper. The salt acted as an abrasive, lifting burnt food and grease without touching the seasoning that gave the pan its non-stick surface. Then she would wipe it clean, rub a thin layer of lard over the cooking surface and set it back on the range. That pan had been her mother's. It would become yours. A box of Cerebos salt cost a few pence and lasted months. The pan lasted generations. We replaced this with Teflon-coated pans that flake after 2 years and cost £20 each. Your grandmother's method created a cooking surface that improved with every use. Ours degrades from the first scratch. Number 21. Bicarbonate of soda for everything. That yellow box of Arm & Hammer sitting in the back of the kitchen cupboard was the most powerful cleaning tool in the house. Your grandmother used bicarbonate of soda on kitchen surfaces, inside the oven, down the drains, on carpet stains, and even sprinkled it inside shoes left by the back door. Mixed into a paste with water, it scoured burnt-on grease from baking trays without scratching. Sprinkled dry on the carpet before sweeping, it absorbed odors that would take a modern Febreze bottle to mask. A box cost about sixpence in the 1950s and outlasted any branded product 10 to 1. The reason cleaning companies do not advertise bicarbonate of soda is simple. You cannot build a billion-pound industry on a product that costs 40 pence and does the job of 12 others. Number 20. Turning out rooms. Once a week, your grandmother would turn out a room. Every room in the house got its turn on a rotating schedule. Turning out meant stripping everything bare. Furniture was pulled to the center. Rugs were taken outside and beaten. Curtains were shaken. Every surface was wiped. The floor was scrubbed on hands and knees. Then everything went back. Arranged just so. The entire process took maybe 2 hours per room, but it meant every room in the house was deep cleaned at least once a month. There was no concept of a spring clean, because the house never got dirty enough to need one. We have replaced this discipline with an annual panic when the in-laws announce a visit. Your grandmother's house was always ready for visitors because she never stopped maintaining it. The turning out habit cost nothing. No products, no equipment, just a cloth, a bucket of hot water, and the iron will of a woman who would not tolerate dust. Number 19. Bread crusts for wallpaper. Before sugar soap and specialist wallpaper cleaners, your grandmother cleaned patterned wallpaper with stale bread crusts. She would take a thick crust, press it firmly against the wall, and rub downward in straight strokes. The soft interior of the bread lifted soot, fingerprints, and general grime from the paper surface without dampening or damaging the pattern. In coal-heated homes where soot settled on every surface, this was essential. Wallpaper was expensive, maybe 3 shillings a roll in 1952, and replacing it was a weekend job nobody wanted. The bread method extended the life of wallpaper by years. Some women saved crusts specifically for this purpose, drying them slightly so they held together during cleaning. It sounds absurd. Cleaning walls with bread. But it worked so well that decorators recommended it well into the 1970s. Number 18. The doorstep stone. In northern England and parts of Scotland, housewives scrubbed their front doorstep with a donkey stone every single morning. These small blocks of ground stone, tinted cream or yellow, were rubbed across a wet step to leave a clean, bright edge that told the entire street your house was in order. The donkey stone cost a halfpenny from the rag and bone man and lasted a fortnight. But its purpose went far beyond cleaning. A stoned step was a signal. It said this family has standards. A neglected step invited gossip. In some streets, women competed for the whitest step, edging the pavement with precise lines that would not have looked out of place on a bowling green. The habit disappeared when councils replaced stone steps with concrete in the 1960s and 1970s. But for decades, the donkey stone kept the threshold of every working-class home immaculate. No branded product replaced it. The habit simply vanished. And with it, the daily ritual of pride that started every morning. Number 17. Lemon halves for taps and brass. When limescale crusted around the base of kitchen taps, your grandmother did not reach for a bottle. She reached for the lemon she had already squeezed for pancakes. A spent lemon half, rubbed directly onto brass door handles, tap fittings and kettle spouts, dissolved limescale and tarnish in minutes. The citric acid reacted with the calcium carbonate deposits, breaking them down without scratching the metal underneath. She would rub, leave it for 5 minutes, then buff with a dry cloth. The lemon and brass gleamed like new. A lemon cost about 2 pence. She had already used the juice for cooking, so the cleaning was free. We now spend £3.50 on vehicle and still cannot get the results she achieved with a piece of fruit destined for the compost heap. Number 16. Boiling the dishcloths. Every few days, your grandmother dropped all her dishcloths and cleaning rags into a pan of boiling water with a handful of soda crystals. She simmered them for 20 minutes, wrung them out, and hung them on the line. Those cloths came out white, sterile, and completely free of the sour smell that plagues modern kitchen sponges within 48 hours. A bag of soda crystals cost a few pence and lasted weeks. The boiling killed every bacterium, and the soda dissolved grease trapped in the fibers. Today we throw away antibacterial sponges every week at £1 each, creating plastic waste that did not exist when your grandmother simply boiled a cloth and reused it for months. First pattern break. The front room ritual. Here is where things get fascinating. In most British homes through the 1950s and 60s, the front room was kept for best. Visitors only. Sunday afternoons, Christmas. The rest of the week, that room stayed closed. Curtains half drawn, furniture untouched. Your grandmother cleaned it on Saturday mornings, whether it needed it or not. She dusted every ornament on the mantelpiece, plumped every cushion, and buffed the fire surround until it reflected light. The carpet was brushed by hand with a stiff bristle brush, working in one direction to raise the pile. The antimacassars on the chair backs were removed, washed, starched, and replaced. That room smelled of beeswax and silence. It was a museum of domestic pride, maintained to a standard that would shame most modern show homes. Standards started in the front room and radiated outward. When open-plan living killed the front room in the 1980s, we lost the benchmark, and with it, we lost the habit of maintaining anything to that standard. Number 14. Soot removal with salt. When soot fell from the chimney onto the hearth rug, your grandmother never touched it with a cloth or brush first. She covered the soot with a thick layer of dry salt, left it for 30 minutes, then swept the whole lot up together. The salt absorbed the oily residue in the soot, preventing it from smearing into the fabric. Without salt, brushing would have ground the black stain deeper into the rug. With salt, it lifted clean. In coal-heated Britain, soot falls were a weekly occurrence. A bag of cooking salt cost pennies and saved rugs that would have cost several pounds to replace. Some women kept a jar of salt by the fireplace, specifically for this purpose. The method worked on carpet, upholstery, and even clothing. Absorb, then remove. Your grandmother just skipped the middleman. Number 13. Lavender bags in linen cupboards. Your grandmother dried lavender from the garden every August, tied it into small muslin bags, and tucked them between the folded sheets in the linen cupboard. The lavender kept linens smelling fresh for months without any spray or fabric conditioner. But that was only half the purpose. Lavender is a natural moth repellent. In an era when wool blankets cost a week's wages and moth damage could ruin an entire cupboard, those little bags were insurance. A bush in the garden provided enough lavender for the whole house, year after year, for free. We now buy synthetic sachets for £2 that last 6 weeks. The lavender lasted a full season and actually protected the fabrics. Your grandmother was not being quaint. She was being practical. Number 12. Kneeling to scrub floors. There is no gentle way to say this. Your grandmother scrubbed the kitchen floor on her hands and knees with a brush and a bucket of hot water. Every week, sometimes twice. She did not own a mop until the 1970s, and when she got one, she did not trust it. Kneeling meant she could see every mark, reach every corner, and apply real pressure to stubborn stains. The brush bristles worked into the grain of stone flags and between the edges of linoleum in a way no flat mop head ever could. The water was changed constantly. Dirty water was tipped and fresh water drawn. The floor dried naturally because she started at the far wall and worked toward the door. It was hard physical work. But the result was a floor you could genuinely eat off. The transition from hands and knees scrubbing to standing with a mop was sold as progress. But every grandmother who made the switch will tell you the same thing. The floor was never as clean again. Your grandmother added a cup of white vinegar to the final rinse water when doing the washing. Not as a cleaning agent, but as a softener and brightener. The vinegar dissolved soap residue that made clothes feel stiff, brightened whites without bleach, and acted as a natural fabric conditioner. Towels came out fluffy without a trace of chemical fragrance. Colors stayed vivid wash after wash. A bottle of white vinegar cost a few pence and lasted for dozens of loads. We now spend £4 on Comfort or Lenore, products that coat fabrics in a waxy layer to simulate softness. Your grandmother achieved genuine softness by removing residue rather than adding more. Every morning, regardless of weather, your grandmother opened the windows. All of them, even in January. The house was aired for at least 30 minutes while she made breakfast and got the family moving. This was not optional. It was doctrine. Fresh air flushed out cooking smells, stale breath from bedrooms, damp, and the general mustiness that accumulates overnight. It also reduced condensation, which prevented mold on windowsills and in bathroom corners. Modern homes are sealed tight for energy efficiency, and we wonder why we need dehumidifiers and mold treatment sprays. Your grandmother's daily airing cost nothing, and solved problems we now pay specialists to fix. The habit took 10 seconds. Open the windows, close them half an hour later. That was it. That was the entire mold prevention strategy, and it worked for generations. Second pattern break. The apron as armor. Nobody talks about this, but the apron was not just clothing. It was a cleaning system. Your grandmother wore a pinafore from morning to night, and she owned at least 3 in rotation. The apron protected her dress from splashes, food stains, and cleaning chemicals. But more than that, it served as a portable cloth. She used the corner to wipe a counter, dry her hands, grip a hot pan handle, or dust a picture frame as she walked past. The apron was always there, always clean enough for a quick wipe, and always replaced at the end of the day. This meant small messes were dealt with instantly. A splash on the counter never dried into a stain because the apron caught it within seconds. A fingerprint on the mirror was buffed away in passing. The modern equivalent would be carrying a microfiber cloth in your pocket at all times. Nobody does that. But your grandmother achieved the same result with a 6-penny pinafore she wore every single day. After boiling potatoes for dinner, your grandmother saved the starchy water and used it to clean silver cutlery and serving pieces. She would soak tarnished spoons and forks in the warm potato water for 30 minutes, then buff them dry with a soft cloth. The starch in the water reacted gently with the tarnish, loosening it without the harshness of proprietary silver polish. The results were not instant, but they were gentle enough to use weekly without wearing down the silver plate. A canteen of silver-plated cutlery was often a wedding present, expected to last a lifetime. Harsh chemical polishes removed a microscopic layer of silver each time. Potato water cleaned without stripping. Your grandmother was preserving her wedding silver with the water she was about to throw down the drain anyway. Free preservation using kitchen waste. The cleaning industry would rather you did not know. Every Friday night, your grandmother poured a cup of soda crystals down the kitchen sink, followed by a kettle of boiling water. This weekly ritual prevented the slow buildup of grease, soap scum, and food debris that causes blocked drains. The sodium carbonate dissolved fat on contact, and the boiling water flushed the loosened residue through the pipes. In an era before dishwashers, when all washing up was done by hand with animal fat soap, grease buildup was the #1 cause of blocked drains. Plumbers charged several shillings for a call-out. A bag of soda crystals cost pennies. The choice was obvious. Scientists at Sheffield University tested soda crystals against 3 leading drain cleaning products in 2014 and found that regular use of soda crystals was equally effective for maintenance cleaning at a fraction of the cost. We buy Domestos and Mr. Muscle for £3 a bottle when a 60p bag of soda crystals does the identical job. Your grandmother knew. The cleaning aisle exists because we forgot. Number 6. Hanging washing properly. Your grandmother did not just peg clothes on the line, she had a system. Whites went on the outer lines where they caught the most sun, which naturally bleached them brighter. Darks went on the inner lines in the shade, so colors would not fade. Shirts were hung from the tail, not the shoulders, so peg marks were hidden when worn. Sheets were folded double over the line to save space and pegged at the corners. Socks were paired and pegged together so they never went missing. This system meant clothes dried faster, stayed brighter, lasted longer, and needed less ironing. The sun was her bleach. The wind was her tumble dryer. Both were free. We now spend 15p per cycle running a tumble dryer that wears fabrics thin and fades colors, replacing the free system that preserved clothes for decades. Before the vacuum cleaner reached most British homes, your grandmother scattered damp, used tea leaves across the carpet. She left them for 10 minutes, then swept them up with a stiff brush. The damp leaves trapped dust, pet hair, and fine grit, preventing it from flying back into the air the way dry sweeping did. The tea also freshened the carpet, leaving a faint, clean scent rather than the musty smell of disturbed dust. This was standard practice in millions of homes through the 1940s and 1950s. Tea was already brewed twice daily. The used leaves cost nothing. They were free. The method was so effective that early vacuum cleaner manufacturers had to run extensive advertising campaigns to convince women that their machines could outperform wet tea leaves and a broom. Some grandmothers remained unconvinced for years. Number 4. The weekly black leading of the range. In homes with a cast iron range or fireplace, your grandmother would black lead the metalwork every week. She mixed zebo or zebra black lead paste with a drop of turpentine, applied it with a stiff brush, let it dry, then buffed with a soft cloth until the iron gleamed like polished jet. The process sealed the metal against rust, prevented food from sticking to hot plate surfaces, and gave the centerpiece of the kitchen a mirror-like finish that reflected the fire. A tin of zebo cost about 4p and lasted for months. The ritual kept the range functional and beautiful for decades. When central heating replaced solid fuel ranges in the 1960s and 70s, the habit died. But the principle of regular maintenance rather than occasional emergency cleaning was the real lesson. Your grandmother never let anything deteriorate to the point where it needed replacing. She maintained everything constantly, so nothing ever failed. Number 3. Elbow grease as the only product. This sounds like a joke, but it is the most important entry on this list. Your grandmother believed in effort over products. She would say elbow grease to any child who asked what she was using to make something shine. And she meant it literally. She scrubbed harder, wiped more frequently, rinsed more thoroughly, and repeated more patiently than any modern cleaning routine demands. The truth is that most household dirt responds to hot water, friction, and persistence. The cleaning industry has convinced us that chemical formulas do the work, so we do not have to. But your grandmother knew that a determined woman with a cloth and hot water could out-clean any spray bottle. She was not anti-product. She simply did not need products because she applied effort that made them redundant. The decline of elbow grease is the real reason our homes are less clean than hers. We substituted labor with chemicals and lost the war. Third pattern break. Starching the antimacassars. Your grandmother starched the white lace antimacassars that sat on the backs and arms of every armchair. She mixed a tablespoon of powdered starch into a pint of boiling water, dipped the lace, squeezed it flat, shaped it while damp, and let it dry stiff. Once dry, those antimacassars sat crisp and white against dark upholstery, protecting the fabric from hair oil and head grease, which was the entire point of their invention. The name literally meant against macassar oil, the Victorian hair product that stained every headrest it touched. But the starching served another purpose. Starched fabric repelled dust and dirt better than soft fabric. A quick shake, and the antimacassar was clean again. Your grandmother was applying a protective coating to her furniture using a food product that cost pennies. We now buy throws and arm covers from Dunelm for £15 and wash them in the machine at a further cost. Starch, water, and 5 minutes of effort. That was all it took. Number 1. Pride as the cleaning product. Your grandmother's house was spotless because she believed a clean home reflected her character, not her wealth, not her taste, her discipline. The front step was scrubbed because the neighbors could see it. The nets were white because the street would notice if they yellowed. The brasses gleamed because visitors might call unannounced. This was social accountability at its most powerful. Every woman on the street maintained the same standard because falling below it meant judgment. That sounds harsh. But it worked. The result was entire streets of immaculate homes maintained to a standard that modern cleaning services charge £50 an hour to approximate. No product in a bottle can replicate the motivating force of pride. When we moved to estates where nobody knew their neighbors, when net curtains became unfashionable, when front doors faced car parks instead of each other, we lost the accountability that kept standards high. The product was never in the cupboard, it was in the character. Here is my challenge. Try one of these this week, just one. Try the cold tea on wood, the vinegar on windows, or the soda crystals down the drain. Then come back and tell me your grandmother was wrong. I tried tea leaves on the carpet last Saturday, and my wife asked what I had done differently because the room smelled cleaner than it had in months. Share which one you are going to try in the comments. These were never just cleaning habits. They were a way of life that the cleaning industry spent millions making us forget. Your grandmother knew. Now you know too.